So, is it Darwin? Darwin?
Great question. So Charles Darwin, imagine the evolution theory. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to meet you or see you. Place a face with the name.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate, the opportunity to talk. There's absolutely no obligation whatsoever in this conversation. I basically try to engage business owners of various verticals to just understand the process of like preparing your business, building enterprise value for an eventual exit, and or potentially how to size up other businesses in order to scale through acquisition. I think it's a little bit of a gray area that no one really teaches too much. And so that's, basically use me as a resource and we'll just have a conversation and there's nothing more to it. But in order to kind of like try to prepare, questions and whatnot for you, tell me a little bit about your business.
All right. So we are a 10 to 14 people office that focuses on multifamily housing and affordable housing, residential, restaurant design, daycare design, and interior office fit outs and mixed use. But for the most part, residential is a big chunk of the apple. And you know what? I think I can do a quick presentation that we did last year at the end of the year that will probably answer a lot of your questions, if that's okay with you.
Yeah,
I'll try to make it quick because I know your time is of the essence. But yeah. So those are the sectors that we touch upon. We are now dabbling a lot into the public sector. We just got some public work through the DCAM process, which was a robust focus of 2024 to get into that, and we got selected, so that was awesome.
So what type of public projects are you working on?
So we continue tackling that residential and housing sector. So we got selected within like 30 firms. They selected 8 to be house doctors for the housing authorities. So it's like house doctors for anything that may or will come up in a project. The most recent one we're doing for the housing authority in Raleigh is siding replacement to one of their buildings and basically increasing their R value and insulation value. We got selected another one in Tingsboro, Mass. That one is.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I feel like my phone has a mind of its own. I've tried to mute it twice and it. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they do that. They tend to do that from time to time. Version 2. I think this.
So you mainly do the design of
architecture, yes, and then we hire the subs to help us, put that stuff together.
Okay.
So we manage mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So look, the pie I was mentioning to you. So yes, 46% either single, 2-family, and residential. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the mixed-use commercial, that includes also multifamily residential, because the dark blue is mainly 1 and 2 family. The red is more than just 2 family, which moves into the commercial residential sector. And the restaurant work is growing. We have quite a few of them going up now within the Seaport and Boston area. And this is kind of how it was over the years. But the projects seem to, they're fast, a lot of them, but the timeline is growing over time. It's been growing more and more. The amount of projects that we've been getting is gone substantially more. Like it's just the 24th of the year, and we already have like over 20 new contracts. they're not that big. I mean, they go from a $5,000 project to a $60,000 project to $80,000 project, right? So they vary a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have a sister company outside of the United States that helps us out, which was one of the goals of 2024, to have a team. So we have 3 people there, but our team is mainly focused here in Salem, and we started in my basement.
Okay.
We've been pushing. The biggest one we've done so far that's built is 18 unit plus 2 mixed use commercial spaces in the first floor in Lynn. So that's completed. Basically,
Where is that one located?
That's in Lynn, Mass. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what else? I mean, the restaurant sector, we have a client that basically owns more restaurants than you could even imagine within Massachusetts, within Boston, and behind all the names, like we're a bunch of names. Tropical Smoothies is now a client of ours. We do a lot of the Tropical Smoothies. Like, there are a lot of different clients, and then we have some amazing clients that do high-end, like custom residential, and things like that. We have an amazing process. These are some of the clients that we have. We've done a lot of work with. Now we're going after more work with Harvard. We just finished a project for Harvard University last year successfully, and the clients. That's just like a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot of new nonprofits have come after to work with us. There's one called the MOC, Making Opportunity Count, and this is like a general. We own some land in New Hampshire that we're developing within our office as an asset. We're thinking of probably these 2 lots, and we're thinking of developing one, selling it, and then purchasing our own office space, because right now we rent here in Salem. These are like accomplishments, I guess. We're using a lot of more awesome stuff. We offer 401k now. And this is kind of the structure of the office. Yeah, and we have really champions. The company is getting clients, as misspelled. But yeah, it's the revenue, which you probably will care about. So we threw the break even kind of like at a monthly or about 70,000 or so. We've remained above that consistently, which is awesome. This year we're kind of slowing down on growth. We don't want more growth in headcount. We want growth in like project type and expertise and things like that. But we're not trying to grow more. This is kind of the trend over the years of like monthly revenues. Surprisingly, this January, it's already. I'm just glancing at it. This is awesome that I'm doing this. It's already the best January we've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah, even surpassing this. Last 2024, which was a good one, over 120,000. That's not bad. Yeah. So
now, do you consider like do sales lag in your business? So in other words, when you get a contract, do you work on it right away, or is there like runway?
Good question. So the way that most of our projects go. For instance, I'm gonna do a little daycare rehab. I just got hired today. It's tiny little project. It's gonna take 3 weeks to do. We got the contract today. It's $8,000. We're gonna get about $2,500 today. We should get with the contract. That's that. Then a progress payment next week, because it's 3 weeks. We move it quick, so they move quickly, and they are paid as soon as they're completed for the most part. So. We don't have like monthly billings unless it's the public projects, which is like bigger projects that we wait for the month. This one's is done, paid, like right away. Like everything moves very quickly, and we divide payments typically in 3 for most of our projects. So for the most typical project, let's say it's a $16,000 2-family renovation. I always do 6,000. Well, if it's 16, I guess half of it, 8,000 at the beginning. Then I do 4,000 at progress, and then 4,000 at the end. So
Okay.
like I front load as much as possible. I don't even know if it's legal, but I front load as much as possible because the value of our services is at that schematic early stage. They could dispose of us at any time after that. So if they did, which they don't, we would be more than fine with our overhead and profit and all that stuff. Like we would be completely fine. So that's the.
When you bid a project and you said that you get subs in to do the work, are you billing for their work and then they're getting paid from you, or are they billing them their own time and materials?
So on these numbers that you see right here,
Yeah.
it's mostly flow, mostly just our own staff members.
Okay.
When it is like consultants outside, yes, they get paid through us and we get paid when paid and if paid, I guess. So, and then we carry through to them. One of the reasons why, like last year was an amazing one, we didn't have a whole lot of consultants. So all of this was net, like mainly net flow, actually that's the name of the company. So net flow. So it was good. And we were I was targeting 2 million, but that was premature. I thought it could happen, but after you cross the $1 million revenue, you would think it gets easier, but 1.4, 1.3, 1.5, that's where we are at. We probably will end up being 1.6 this year. Maybe not. Maybe it's the 2 million that I wanted for 2024, but who knows? Interest rates are going down, and we see a spike on sentiment, and we see a spike on investments in real estate. So I think we're gonna. I don't know, 1.8. Let's just say that. But I said it in December. But I'm very, very optimistic. I'm very, very optimistic because our office is better. We're faster than we have ever been. We have the most retention that we've ever had. We don't have turnout on people leaving every 6 months. Everybody's been here for 3+ months for the most part, except like one person. So it's like we're not the new guys anymore. I think so 1.5 was our goal and we did like 1.3, so that was not too bad.
Okay.
This was the goal for 2024. These are the ones from 2025. I guess we'll put 1.5 because we want to feel like we hit it. I'm sure we're gonna hit it.
That seems doable, especially like you said with the tailwinds. I feel like from the election, things are just opening back up. Everyone was kind of holding their breath the second half of last year. And I think that especially building starts and things like that, they're going to start moving forward again.
And I always look at our folder of, the new projects and things like that. Like I told you, look, these are actually 30, it's 2025. Yeah, that is 2025. That's 34 new folders for new projects. We don't create new folders. Well, I would say 4 of them probably are still tentative, but that's 30. So that's more than a project per day in the last 24 days. I mean, those are projects from the last 3 years too that keep waking up or come back or, and if they don't move forward, we put it into the folder of projects not acquired. So if we were to go back to 2024 and say, well, we had 487 folders, 488 folders of secure projects. It's funny because it's 487 items in here. But this is project 546. Something must have happened there. Something must have happened. But it's over 500 projects. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't get to 1.8, 1.6, 1.9 million. I don't know. We'll see. But that's that. I think that helps you to kind of understand where we're at.
So I think I think what you're doing is amazing, and like you said, in the interest of time, just kind of getting back to like it's revenue obviously is super important, but it's also not just what you make, it's what you keep and how efficient you're deploying the resources that you have. And that comes back to the conversation about enterprise value and how important it is for any kind of a planning horizon to think about what is your enterprise value and how can you maximize your enterprise value over time. And the key thing is, yes, revenue, but also bottom line understanding like what is the free cash flow of the business, and from like a succession perspective, like how is your management team? You were saying like you are no longer the new guys, so like making sure that you have like retention and you're adding benefits and you're kind of starting to build out your team just like you would plan building out a house design, that you want it to be to the point where there's no point that there's too much stress. You don't want the owners to be bearing all the weight. Sorry for all the bad analogies, but like I always do that whenever I talk to a specific industry. I tend to roll with like analogies within the industry, but because that's key man risk. You don't want to have too much going through one person and micromanaging things. You want to make sure that it's spread out. And then, you are in a great industry for thinking about scaling through acquisition. You're definitely in your growth phase. So if there are other architecture firms out there that are similar in scope to what you do, sizing them up and thinking about, if they have sticky accounts and if they have a team, certainly that's a big part of it, is having teams that are complementary to the type of work that you do. But sometimes, and this is why I like having these conversations, just to give you a little background on me, I was an entrepreneur from a very young age. I built and grew my own businesses, and then I sold them myself, but I scaled through acquisition before doing that. I got involved in a number of different verticals, and what you don't realize is that it costs 8 times more to attract a new customer than it does to retain an existing one. So if you can buy a business that has employees and retained, customers that do repeat business with them, it's very valuable, because you can immediately potentially bolt that onto your business and just continue to accelerate your growth pattern. So the first thing, whenever you're thinking about, getting into the levers to value within your individual business, or if you're looking at a target acquisition, is looking at evaluation based on comparables within the marketplace. Similar companies that have the same number of employees are basically hitting the same revenue targets and are also looking at having the same free cash flow at the bottom line. And I always suggest to people that they think about getting a valuation, like even early on, so that you can continue to benchmark those KPIs. They're slightly different from what your business KPIs would be, because the metrics to value are always keeping, and it looks like you have a very diversified base of customers, so you're not too reliant on any one customer, which is important. If you have more than 20% of your revenue coming from one customer, that's not good for valuation. Secondly, like I mentioned before, making sure that you're working on fortifying your management team, having a strong organizational structure, positive company culture, making sure that, if you were to go on vacation, does the place continue to operate? Your systems, your processes are well defined, that people can continue to do their work, whether or not you're currently working in the business or not. And that, I don't expect you to answer that question, but it's a hypothetical question that sometimes. Oh, okay. Yeah. 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 It's a balance. Yeah. 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 More building. Right. Right. I mean, exactly. Yeah. 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 So you mentioned a lot of things, but I'll first address like so there are a couple different types of valuations. The type that I can do is called a broker's opinion of value. We charge 2,500 for it, and basically what that gives you is a perspective of like if you were to sell today based on the numbers that you're producing, what your business would be worth. But it would also give you because we do it based on comparisons. So what we would do is come up with a data set that looks similar to your business and it gives you some perspective on benchmarking like what other firms have sold for that are similar in size and revenue to yours. But then we also have a second option, which I don't think would be necessary with a firm like yours, is a certified valuation. And the certified valuations are about $6,500, $7,000. They're much more in depth, and they go deeper into different ways of valuing businesses and then come up with one basic value, like they do a discounted cash flow method, all the various other ways to value businesses, and then they come up with like the ultimate value. I would think, and just based on me, that like a broker's opinion of value would probably suffice. And then the other thing that I do is I have partners too, who are subcontractors. They're not employed by me, but people that are coaches and I work with, and then they come in and have check-ins from time to time to just see like, okay, let's revisit this. How are we developing like more free cash flow? If you're in a growth phase though, not to let that scare you, because you're probably reinvesting in certain things, whether it's technologies and things like that. Any kind of one-time expense or growth-oriented expense is not going to hurt you in terms of your enterprise value, because you basically adjust those things out. But I think it's a great first step, again, to level set and know what your business would ostensibly be worth. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I know you said about like Apple and culture is very important, and I get that, but I do come across a lot of architecture firms that like the founder is getting older and wants to figure out an exit strategy, and it's kind of tough. So, I mean, if you're open to those opportunities or businesses, as I learn about them, I can always keep in touch with you on that as well.
Like I told you earlier, we don't think of growing anymore as head counts. Getting a payroll that over $30,000 every 2 weeks or so. You're like, what the heck is going on? How did it happen? But yeah. And then if you think that, we did a study 2 years ago, and we say, okay, if we are 4 people and we make X, what would that be if we were 8? And it doesn't equate to doubling income. It doesn't at all. And you would give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Like, it should be even more, because the clients that we had last year will come back, and a lot of them, no, it's not. It's like a marginal growth for every other head. In fact, there's a diminishing return at some point, unless you move sectors, right? If you change sectors and you're gonna now do life science towers, you need more headcounts to do those multi-million-dollar contracts, which is already broke through. But if you remain within the same sector, unless something happened that suddenly every home price doubled, you're not gonna get more. So at that point, we also managed to use this study to say, how much can we actually handle with 2 principals? So it's me and Marcos, 2 principals. Well, I think that's it. 14 people, done. We cannot handle more people. We cannot handle more than 2 people calling out sick the same day. We cannot handle all of those disasters, right? Like, at that point, we mitigated it. And that's when we also made the decision that we needed a marketing director, which we don't have. They just quit. But he just quit. But it's like, okay, that way I can continue to focus on other things that bring joy to me and value to the office overall nationally. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely talk to Marcos about the $2,500 broker's opinion of value, because I want to know more about that. If you had a sample of what that looked like, that would be amazing. We have our meetings, like principals meetings, every Friday. So that happened today. I didn't tell him that I was meeting with you because I just connected with you. This was like instant. Like, we spoke and it was instant. So I want to know more about that. You mentioned that we're at that phase where firms kind of grow through acquisition. So what you mean is that how they do it? Like, they find kind of like alike firms or similar values or sectors, and one goes after the other and they join, or do they get acquired? Like what's that?
There are a variety of ways that can get worked out. What I've seen in architecture is it depends on the maturity level of the firm and how seasoned, I guess, the architects are within the firm, because sometimes I've seen like ESOPs work, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
No.
An ESOP is basically a method of a firm selling internally, or like the
Oh yeah, I've seen that. So I recently went into a lecture last year where they were talking about like the importance of like a business versus like any other investment. They were talking about that, and then they were talking about how there is a discount, like if there's two partners and one of the partners sells over time. It's not like, oh yeah, here's $500,000 for you. No, it's like installments, and then the new principal will get it at a discount, because that owner leaving means that some of the business may not even, like it's associated with the owner and things like that. So I watched the whole lecture, and I have notes on that, and it was internally like how many shares, what's the value of the shares or the percentage, and we like that. We looked into that.
Yeah, that's often
Basically the firm buys it from you. Like basically the firm buys itself off of what you own, and then you start distributing it, as percentages throughout the office. Yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole lecture. I like this stuff, Erin. By the way, I really like this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that you're so tuned in to like your numbers and like all of that stuff, because it's amazing to me how many people aren't. They don't even think about it. But yeah, that's a great option for architecture firms, because your staff tends to be like very educated, and they have to have a skill set to work there, and over time it generates enough cash flow off of the projects in order to allow that internal transition. But even if say for instance there's an outside firm that wants to sell, the way that it works is, yes, you can still use like those structures that you were talking about, that like you can create an earnout structure so that you agree to pay X amount, but if all of the clients that they have are retained over, say, a 6 or a 12-month period, they get another payment that accounts for any clients that have been lost or whatever. So there are lots of different kind of moving parts to the whole thing. But I would say that there is an opportunity, if you find that it is a core competence of yours to actually manage an architecture firm, that it could be something in the future, because I know that at least the firms that I've seen don't have like a succession plan as much as they'd like to. Several of them go into, maybe offshoots of like interior design work and things like that too, that might take you away from your focus.